Good morning and a very warm welcome to the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. As always, we're coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. This morning too, we're ready to bring to you details of all the top stories from both here at home and around the world. Stay tuned with us. We have all the news in detail. As always, we start off with news here at home. Minister of Justice and National Integration, Attorney-at-Law Harshan Nanayakkara, along with a delegation of senior officials, will depart for Geneva, Switzerland today to participate in the first periodic review conducted by the United Nations Committee on Enforced Disappearances. The review is scheduled to take place on the 26th of September in Geneva. According to the Ministry of Justice, the Sri Lankan delegation will present detailed information on the government's newly implemented program to address the issue of enforced disappearances. The delegation includes officials from the Attorney General's Department and the Office on Missing Persons. Sri Lanka has been a state party to the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance since 2016. Now, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijay Therath, held discussions with India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. In a post shared on X, Minister Therath stated that the meeting reaffirmed the strong friendship and close cooperation between Sri Lanka and India. The talks highlighted the long-standing bilateral ties between the two neighboring countries, with both ministers emphasizing the importance of continued collaboration in areas of mutual interest. The meeting took place as world leaders gathered in the United States for the 80th session of the UNGA. Now, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijay Therath also met with the U.S. Under-Secretary of State Alison Hooker for discussions on strengthening bilateral ties. In another post shared on X, Minister Therath described this meeting as constructive, noting that the talks focused on enhancing cooperation and advancing shared priorities between the two countries. The engagement took place on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, where Sri Lanka continues to hold bilateral meetings with international partners. On to more local news now. A special Gazette notification issued by President Anura Kumara Dissanayake declaring all services related to electricity supply as essential services will be presented to Parliament today for approval. The decision was taken during the Committee on Parliamentary Business meeting held yesterday. The motion is expected to be passed without debate. Meanwhile, the second reading of the Penal Code Amendment Bill will also take place in Parliament today. The draft bill received the approval of the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Governance, Justice and Civil Protection yesterday. Committee Chairman Parliamentarian Dr. Najit Indika explained that the objective of the bill is to abolish corporal punishment targeting children and penalize harmful disciplinary practices against students. The amendments include adequate legal measures to prevent corporal punishment in schools, child detention centers and other institutions, thereby strengthening child protection laws in Sri Lanka. The National Building Research Organisation bill was passed in Parliament yesterday without any amendments. Deputy Minister of Environment Anton Jayakudi explained that the National Building Research Organisation, or the NBRO, established in 1984, has been operating for over 4 decades without a legal framework. In 1991, the institute expanded to include a landslide division, and during the 1990s, the United Nations provided a significant grant of around $1 million to support landslide research. He recalled that at the time, then Minister of Industries Ranil Wickremesinghe, along with the relevant officials, had been hesitant to take over the project despite the large grant. At present, disaster management functions are handled under the Ministry of State Security, following a government directive issued in 2011. Jayakudi pointed out that whenever construction projects are planned in hilly areas, the NBRO was assigned to provide geotechnical supports to ensure structural stability, a responsibility given through circular instructions. Although the institute had been carrying out vital functions, he emphasized that the absence of a dedicated act had been a major weakness. He further noted that despite handling numerous reports and research, the NBRO had never faced a legal case, but the lack of statutory backing could have left it vulnerable. He highlighted that the institution, first initiated during President Rana Singha Premadasa's tenure under the Ministry of Housing and Construction, had contributed significantly over the past 41 years. The Deputy Minister stressed that it was essential to bring the NBRO under proper legal regulation, as it should not continue into its 42nd year without an act. On to your weather forecast for today. The Met Department says that showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Galle, Mathura, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. Fairly heavy falls of above 50 millimeters are likely at some places. Showers or thunder showers are likely at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Batiklo districts after 2 p.m. Fairly strong winds of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills and in the central, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. And as always, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. With that, we move on to more local news. Representatives of the electricity sector trade unions engaged in work to rule action are set to hold discussions today regarding the ongoing work stoppage. The talks come after the Ceylon Electricity Board cancelled all employee leave and following a special gazette issued by the President declaring all services related to electricity supply as essential services. Now, Prabhat Priyantha, General Secretary of the CEB Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangam, stated that the unions aim to reach a decision today on whether to continue their trade union action given the current legal framework. The trade union action, now on its 20th day, was initiated by unions affiliated with opposition political parties along with trade unions, including the Engineers Union, demanding the fulfillment of conditions related to benefits promised during the board's restructuring process. Now, the Export Development Board, or the EDB, has announced plans to secure export earnings amounting to $18 billion in 2025. EDB Chairman Mangala Vijay Singha stated that within the first 8 months of this year alone, export earnings have already surpassed $11 billion. He further noted that this reflects a 6.61% increase compared to the same period last year, underscoring a steady growth trajectory in the country's export sector. The Sri Lankan Navy, under the patronage of the Ministry of Defence, will host the 12th edition of the Galle Dialogue International Maritime Conference in Balisara. The inaugural ceremony will be graced by Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. This two-day premier forum will feature participation from senior representatives, naval leaders and maritime experts from 34 nations and 14 international organizations. Under the theme Maritime Outlook of the Indian Ocean under Changing Dynamics, the conference will foster strategic dialogue on building a secure, prosperous and sustainable maritime future. The conference is structured around 4 pivotal sessions focusing on 5 thematic areas: marine environment, maritime governance, maritime economy, maritime sustainability and a clean Indian Ocean. These discussions aim to develop collaborative strategies to address both traditional and non-traditional maritime threats. As a cornerstone event for regional security dialogue, the Galle Dialogue provides an essential platform for sharing knowledge, enhancing multilateral cooperation and strengthening the international legal framework to ensure stability in the maritime domain. Let's move on to more local news. The Cabinet has approved the appointment of a dedicated committee tasked with formulating a separate salary structure for police officers. According to the Ministry of Public Security, the committee comprises representatives from the Ministry of Public Administration, the Ministry of Finance and other relevant stakeholders. The committee is expected to submit its recommendations to the government for the establishment of a new tailored salary framework for police service. The Ministry of Health, meanwhile, has taken steps to allow family and private doctors to issue death certificates for individuals who pass away at home due to old age. Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Hansaka Vijayamuni, stated that around 45% of total deaths in the country occur at residences. At present, such deaths are certified by Grama Niladhari officials. However, he pointed out that Grama Niladharis often face technical difficulties when recording the causes of death. Accordingly, arrangements are being made under the new procedure to enable private doctors serving within a given locality to issue death certificates for such cases. Let's move on to international news this morning. US President Donald Trump has said Kiev can win all of Ukraine back in its original form, marking a major shift in his position with the war with Russia. In a post on his Truth Social platform, he said Ukraine could get back the original borders from where the war started with the support of Europe and NATO due to pressures on Russia's economy. His comments came after talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held after Trump had addressed the UN General Assembly in New York on Tuesday. Trump has repeatedly expressed his desire to end the war, but has previously warned that the process could likely involve Ukraine giving up some territory, an outcome Zelensky has consistently rejected. In his post, Trump added Ukraine could, quote-unquote, maybe even go further than that, but did not specify what he was referring to. He also made no reference to Crimea, which was invaded and annexed by Russia in 2014. Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Trump said his position had changed after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation. Zelensky hailed this big shift in Trump's position and, speaking to reporters in the UN building, said he understood the US was willing to give Ukraine security guarantees after the war is finished. Coming up next is sports news for this morning. And in sports, it's cricket. Pakistan defeated Sri Lanka by 5 wickets in the Super 4 stage of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 tournament held at the Abu Dhabi Stadium yesterday. Winning the toss, Pakistan opted to bowl first. Pathum Nissanka and Kusal Mendis opened the innings for Sri Lanka, but early wickets fell quickly. Kusal Mendis was dismissed without scoring, while Nissanka fell for 8 runs. Captain Chavit Asalanka contributed 20, but Sri Lanka's top order collapsed to 58 for 5. Kamila Mendis top scored with a fighting 50, guiding Sri Lanka to a total of 133 for 8 in 20 overs. Shaheen Shah Afridi was the pick of the bowlers, taking 3 wickets. In reply, Pakistan's innings got off to a steady start, with the openers putting on a 45-run partnership for the first wicket. Sahibzada Farhan made 24, while Mahesh Theekshana and Vanindu Hasaranga picked up 2 wickets each to keep Sri Lanka in contention. However, Hussain Talat and Mohammad Nawaz guided Pakistan home with an unbeaten 58-run partnership for the 6th wicket. Talat remained not out on 32, while Nawaz added an unbeaten 38. Pakistan reached the target in the 18th over, finishing on 134 for 5. Meanwhile, the next Super 4 match of the tournament between India and Bangladesh is scheduled to take place tonight in Dubai, starting at 8 p.m. Sri Lanka time. Sri Lanka will play their final Super 4 match in the 2025 Asia Cup T20 tournament on the 26th of September, taking on the Indian cricket team. All matches of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament are being broadcast live on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder of the tournament, and streamed via www.sirasatv.ok. Meanwhile, the International Cricket Council has suspended USA Cricket's membership with immediate effect. Although the move followed repeated and continued breaches of its obligations as an ICC member under the ICC's constitution, it will not stop the United States team from participating at events, including preparations for the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. They will feature at February's Men's T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka as well. The management and the administration of the US national teams will temporarily be overseen by the ICC. Well, that's a wrap of this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. Thank you for joining us this morning. Do join us tomorrow as well for more of the very latest from here at home and around the world. Take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.